Welcome to Hate to Wait, where two lifelong dieters talk about their current struggles with weight loss. Diets, we've tried them all. We are not doctors. We don't play them on TV or on this podcast. Join our journey because we're all in this together.
Hey, Emily.
Hey, John.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
So, if you're listening to this in a couple of weeks or whatever, it won't make any difference, but we've been off for a week.
Yep. Unexpectedly.
Due to injury. Both of us got injured at the same time.
Yeah.
Not that we were together. We just got injured within days of each other.
Yeah, we got injured in a way that we could not make last week's recording or even do last week's recording. I got a concussion, a very small one, so nothing, I wasn't out running. I don't know what football players do, running plays. Yeah, I wasn't out running plays like a football player, no.
But it was worse because you aren't expecting it.
No. I can actually show people watching the video what I got hit in the head with because I brought it down. It is a wooden car wash made by Melissa and Doug. Anybody who knows Melissa and Doug toys, these are big, wooden, solid things.
So why do you still have it?
Because my son loves it.
Yeah, well,
and
okay.
here's the story with it. And I couldn't take it away from him because he kind of didn't do much wrong because it was partially my fault because I was doing yoga on the back porch, which I usually do. And he's running around. He plays with his toys out there and stuff. I finish my yoga routine and I get into the last pose, which I'm just laying on the ground and I'm breathing with my eyes closed. And I'm just thanking myself for doing this practice every day. And he was throwing stuff. And I didn't think that he would actually aim anything for me. And I also didn't think that he would pick up a giant wooden car wash and chuck it at my head. And he did. It was the first time I'd seen stars before when I was younger and I flew off my bike like over the handlebars and I saw stars. But this was the first time that it was something that was terribly painful in my head. And I knew between the time it happened and between the time I started feeling that pain, I was like, that's supposed to hurt. That's going to hurt really badly. In a second, why am I not feeling, oh God, there it is. Oh God. Yes, that was my concussion.
Yeah, and again, your son is like Bam Bam from the Flintstones.
He is. Oh my gosh, he absolutely is.
So he brains you with this car wash.
Car wash, yeah.
And like I said, I've had concussions, a few, and I've never went through the protocol that they do now, where they rest your brain and everything.
Yeah.
And it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
We used to just say we had our bell rung. And it was like, oh, I'm still, I got my bell rung on Thursday.
And you'd probably take ibuprofen or aspirin or something, which apparently you're not supposed to take.
Right.
Because it thins your blood. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they were like, you have to take Tylenol. The funny thing with Tylenol is there are studies that are saying that Tylenol doesn't work for everybody. And I've been convinced my whole life that that's me. I'm just like, don't give me Tylenol. It does nothing for me. It makes my stomach hurt. No, don't give me that. Yeah.
I agree with you. I can't take ibuprofen because I'm on blood thinners. So I can't take that. And when I have a headache, whenever I do have a headache, Tylenol does nothing to it.
Yeah. It just sits there and mocks you.
Right.
We have this huge Costco-sized bottle of acetaminophen. And it just sits there. It's just looking at me like, I do nothing. I'm taking up room.
Yeah. Same thing with me. So while you were doing that,
yes,
I decided that, I'm sick and tired of sleeping in a chair because of my back and knees and everything. So I'm going to try. I had this thing that I bought that's like a wedge and you put it in the bed, which I thought would act like being in the recliner, but I would still be in the bed. So I tried to sleep in the bed. Well, I slept the whole night in there. And then when I woke up the next morning, my back was so tweaked. It was horrible.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, no. Because normally when my back goes out, it's a 5-week thing.
Yeah.
But I immediately took the TENS unit, which is that pad. It's got 4 pads and it gives you electric stimulation. Electric stimulation for your back. And I did that, and I did heat, and I did ice, and I kind of really jumped in front of it. and it wasn't that bad. It was only like 3 or 4 days, but still trying to get down the steps into here to do the show.
Yeah.
And then you aren't feeling well. So I was like, okay, let's just back it down for a week.
Yeah.
But
I was very glad about that because I got to a point weirdly, that first day that I got the concussion, I went upstairs and I was like, oh, my head hurts. It just feels like kind of a migraine. I'm going to treat it like a migraine and get in bed and, in the dark, which, for a concussion, that's what you're supposed to do. We didn't really think it was a concussion until I was really light sensitive and started getting sound sensitive. I'm still a little light sensitive, but not as much.
Did you get nauseous?
A little. I got nauseous like the first day. And also the second day because I took Tylenol. So I don't know if it was the Tylenol or if it was actual. And I was like, well, I'm not going to take Tylenol. This isn't worth it. It's not worth Tylenol. I was using CBD. CBD is fantastic for that.
I got to get me some of that.
It's very good. And I will say, if you are in a state where recreational marijuana is legal, if you can get the CBD with just a little bit of THC in it, and that's the part of the cannabis that gives you the fun high. And if you can get that with a little bit of the THC in it, it actually activates the CBD more. So like you're perfectly able to function. You're not sitting there on the couch like, oh man, Doritos. But you're just kind of like, I know my head hurts, but I don't care as much. And it's also very nice for when you're told with a concussion, don't do anything. Sit in the dark with your eyes closed. No screens, no reading, no texting. And you're like, well, what am I supposed to do?
That's all I do.
Well, I practiced your breathing that we talked about in the last episode. Your 5, 10, 15 breathing. I'm hoping that's right, too. I feel like I should look this up to make sure if that was accurate or if I'm just breathing wrong. But
in for 10, hold for 5, release
in for 5, hold for 10, and
release
whistle
for 15.
Yeah, and release.
I got to double check that because it might be the other. It might be in for 10, hold for 5, release for 15. I don't know.
Well, I was practicing that. I was listening to a lot of meditation podcasts, actually. The Women's Meditation Network with Katie Krimitsos. Oh, yeah. I got to throw her a shout out because she had a pain relief meditation on there. And it was about 12 minutes long. And I couldn't listen to a lot. So I couldn't listen to a lot of music. I couldn't even listen to TV shows that I knew. I tried doing that. And I was like, oh, God, I can't. If I hear the theme from The Office right now, it will hurt. Or just hurt my entire head. But I listened to that. And then there's Katie's voice like, okay, breathe. And I'm like, thank you. This is what I needed. I need nice, calm sounds.
I'll check that out. I honestly didn't know she did that.
It's wonderful. And you know what? The best thing about this podcast, huge shout out to Katie for this, is she makes episodes for every single thing that you're going through. So there's like a meditation for I just broke up with my boyfriend, or I just had a fight with my spouse, or a meditation for I can't sleep, or, just all these tiny little things that's so perfect. It's exactly what I was looking for. So yeah, big shout out to her. That was one of my favorite podcasts. And also any podcaster that uses a compressor, thank you.
Really?
Because I needed that. I could not have loud noises that would like scare me or make me jump. I wanted music to be compressed too, so I could listen to something without being like, oh God, and here comes the really loud part that I'm going to have to turn it down for.
I've never really been, I don't know if I was light or, because I've had some pretty bad concussions.
Yeah.
And I never missed a day of work. I went to work the next day.
We were also very careful because, honestly, I learned a lot from listening to you about concussions. And I was like, these things are serious. We do not mess with these things.
I do not want to talk like John.
That wasn't what I said or thought. I want you to know that wasn't what I thought or said. I want you to know it was because you have warned me many times and I listened to warnings.
Good. I'm glad you did. And that's one of the reasons why when you said you had this, I was like, all right, let's just take the week off.
Yeah.
Okay. So with all this going on, how did that affect your eating? Did it do anything to your eating? Because like sometimes, oops, go ahead.
Oh, yes. Yes. And John, maybe, I don't know. I want to hear about your week too, because.
All right, well, go ahead. We're on you now. So.
Yeah. Well, the first 2 days, I just stuck with, I had changed my intermittent fasting eating window down to 6 hours about a week or two earlier. And I was going to stick with that. And I did stick with that, actually. But those 6 hours, what do you do in a dark room when you can't do anything else?
Yeah, right?
Even with my eyes closed, I can find the open chip bag. But actually, I couldn't have chips because it was too crunchy the first few days. So I had to find soft foods. And what are soft foods? Breads and
tapioca pudding?
Cheese and pudding. Maybe I should eat something healthy. Nope, too crunchy. No. Maybe I should have a smoothie. Well, it's too cold. I don't want a smoothie. And I did junk food. There was one day I was able to get out of the house and my husband took me to Target. And I didn't go into Target. I sat in the parking garage while my son napped in there. We were just in the dark, in the parking garage. I would look at my phone for about 15 minutes and then my eyes would get tired and I just laid back with my eyes closed and wait a few minutes. And I was like, please bring me chocolate. I just want a box of chocolates to eat. I'll just eat 1 or 2 at a time, I told myself. Oh, Emily. Not when there are samples and you don't know which one you could possibly choose. There's so many of them. And what is Roman nougat? I have to find out. Let me find out. And I ate, let's see, there were 10 chocolates in that box. I gave 1 to Mark and I gave 1 to my daughter who was in the car. And I ate the other 8 all by myself in that day. And I just sat there like, I'm not even sorry. I have a concussion.
Yeah. And I hear you. And it's really hard when you're healing, to try to worry just about that. Because, like, I think your body, I don't think your body wants chocolate. But
it wanted more calories. It was, like, really hungry.
Yeah, it might have been wanting to fuel up.
Yeah, it was. And I absolutely listened to it, too. Whenever I was hungry, if it was in my eating window, I was like, okay. I'm also here. And my husband was very sweet. And he would get me stuff from the kitchen, because the kitchen, we don't have curtains. That's the one room we don't have curtains in or anything and the sun will hit it in the mornings. And then at night, it will actually bounce off our neighbor's window and come right into our window, into our sink. So like I couldn't go by the sink and do anything. So that's, so I kind of avoided the kitchen, which I guess was a good thing. But then I was asking my husband, hey, do we still have those cookies? Hey, can you get me a bowl of ice cream?
Ice cream soft.
Yep, ice cream soft. It's just fine. Yeah, so eating last week wasn't great, but this week my body, that's one thing I love about intermittent fasting is your body does get sick of junk food quicker for me, I found. Where I'm like, after that box of chocolates, I closed my window for the day and I was like, I can't eat another thing because it was probably 5:30 or something. And we were going to have dinner and I'm like, I don't really want to fit dinner into my window because I'm stuffed. And if I ate another bite, I would have been sick probably. So the next day I woke up and I was like, all right, I've had my pity party and now I'm feeling a bit better. Now it's time to make some better decisions. And I did. And this week it's been really good. I've been in a Caesar salad mood, and there's an amazing place by us in Connecticut that has great Caesar salads that I've fallen in love with. So that's my new favorite thing.
Well, it's good that you can get something like that. And again, so for me, my thing was I was doing really good. Then I hurt my back. So I was getting up in the morning and I was making breakfast and I was making meals and everything like that. And then I hurt my back. So then I went back to sandwiches.
Yeah.
But I still had the shakes, the replacement meal shakes. I was still doing that. But, there was like ham and cheese sandwiches and it was really hard to get back into the swing of things. And then for me, once I start down that road again to curve back into what I was doing before, it takes a little while. So I'm absolutely in love with Instapot baked potatoes.
Oh.
They are amazing. And I can do a bunch of them. Then I can put them in the refrigerator. And if I have to, I can just, throw them in a microwave and warm them up.
What's your dude cooking recipe for those?
You wash them, you poke them like 4 or 5 times with a fork. You put them in the Instapot with a cup and a half of water. You set it to 12. And when it goes off, you let it sit in there for another 15 minutes. You let it just kind of calm down. Matter of fact, you can let it sit in there for as long as you want because all it does is keep it warm.
It's vacuum sealed, right?
Right. So it just keeps it warm. And then you just take them out. And once they come out of there, I just take them and open them up. Throw some grass-fed butter on them, maybe a little sour cream or something like that. maybe, when they first come out, you throw a little butter and cheese on them.
Yeah.
And, so then and then you have that with chicken and a vegetable, and that's really, really good. It's a good meal, and I was enjoying that. So I have to get back to that. I have to get back into, doing the potatoes. Now, it was funny because they delivered my groceries, and for some reason, they forgot to give me my potatoes. Now, I've been waiting for like 3 days for my potatoes to get back here. I don't know where they're coming from. I think they're coming all the way from Idaho.
I'm just thinking about like my problem last winter or something where both my husband and I bought potatoes and we had just all the potatoes. I'm like, oh, I wish I could still send you some of my excess potatoes we had that time.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing I did when I made them, and the next day, like I brought them out of the refrigerator, I took one and I sliced it up and then I fried that up. So I had eggs and fried potatoes. So it was, I mean, I was actually cooking, and then once I hurt my back, I couldn't stand up for that amount of time. It was just too much to handle. The other thing I found out about my back injury was that, to be honest with you, I had to fight through the pain. So the more I stood, the more I stretched, even though it was horrific at the time, it made me feel better. And I think I got better faster.
Good.
Yes. But I'm still having an issue of sleeping through the night. And I still wake up every 2 hours, and then it's hard for me to get back to sleep again. That whole CBD oil thing, I'm definitely thinking about trying that just to get back into, where I can sleep longer. Because when I wake up...
It does make you tired, yeah.
I'm thinking about going to the doctor and having some tests to see, what my testosterone level is and my adrenaline levels are.
They don't test that with the surgery?
I don't know that, but because there is like at 9 o'clock or between 8:30 and 9 o'clock at night, I hit a physical wall.
Yeah.
And I am DONE done. And then I'll go upstairs, and then, since the East Coast and Saskatoon are in a 2-hour different time zone, 8 o'clock is 6 o'clock, and Sam's just getting off work. So we don't really talk until it's like 10 o'clock her time.
Yeah.
And I got nothing. I mean, I'm struggling to just keep a conversation going and think.
Yeah.
And I'm just done. And it's tough because, we only get a chance to talk to each other, although she is coming back here in October. So the first week in October, she's going to be here for a week. So, loving that. But that is a part of it. The other thing now is I'm hooked on sugar-free popsicles. I am so hooked on sugar-free popsicles. It's ridiculous.
How do they sweeten them? What kind of sweetener?
I think they probably just use, what do they use now? NutraSweet or something like that? I have no idea, to be honest with you.
I wasn't sure if it was NutraSweet or
maybe Splenda.
Splenda
you know what? I never even looked at the box. So, like, what happens is this is what will happen. I'll wake up in the middle of the night, and then I'll going through the bathroom, and then I limp back, and then I lay down, and I'm like, oh my God, So now you're awake because it's such, your back hurts when you're getting to the bathroom, your knees are hurting and everything. So then when you finally sit down again, you're like, ugh. So you're sitting there and you can't get to sleep, and you go, you know what would probably make me sleep? A couple of popsicles. So I'll eat like 6 or 7 popsicles throughout the night.
Did you start a Pavlov response in your body?
I might have.
A bell dings for bed, and you're like, popsicle.
Right. So what I started 2 days ago was I have a thing of water with ice cubes in it that I make up at night, and I put it right next to. So what I'll do is instead of having a popsicle, I'll drink water, which is cold, smart. And then I'll have some ice cubes. I can crunch on some ice cubes. Yeah. Kind of gives me that popsicle feel, and then I can usually go back to sleep because I'm trying to get off the popsicles. Not that they're bad for you, but I really do want to go back to intermittent fasting because it for me, it makes so much sense. And it really takes, and people, the therapist says that, when you do something like that, it really can feed your eating disorder. But I find it's the other way around, that when I can have choices, or, when I can say, well, I can stay within my calorie window, it makes me eat more.
Yeah.
And eat at different times. And I don't think that I'm giving my body enough rest to recover from after eating. So I never get into that mode where you start. And when we get to the weigh-in, we'll talk about that. So
I feel like our weekly weigh-in has become the child that we bring to the store, and we're just like, oh, when we get home.
Yeah, exactly.
We will talk.
Exactly.
Like, I will not do this in public here, but just wait.
Yeah. So Monday, I started to try to go back to intermittent fasting, which was, I don't have my meal replacement shakes until after 12, and then I have them again at 2, and then I eat a meal at like 4:30, and then I'm done until I wake up in the middle of the night and I have those popsicles. Mm-hmm. And then I had a bottle, like I have a water bottle, and this is how I knew I was having issues with a popsicle addiction. Popsicle addiction. That might be the title for this episode. So every time I took the popsicle stick and I would throw it in that water bottle, I have a water bottle full of popsicle sticks.
Oh my gosh.
Full. Completely. Like I could make a log cabin.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly. Should I take a picture?
No, that's something crazy people do, Tom.
Here we are.
I do actually.
It's not like saving toenails or anything like that.
No, that's fine. But like, I just picture sticks of just the red and the orange.
Exactly.
And the God.
The purple, the red, the orange.
Colorful, disgusting birdhouse ever.
Absolutely. So, yeah, that's where I am as far as, trying to get back into this. And I got to tell you, this podcast does ground me. Being able to have to come back here every week, because this is my body. It's like, well, we got 2 weeks off. Let's start.
I think after I talked to you and we decided to skip last week, I think I was just like, all right, I'm skipping tomorrow. Let's go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. I think the accountability of this podcast, and that's what I tell people, that when I talk about this podcast, I'm like, it's really just the showing up. We're not necessarily we're having amazing insights, I feel like, personally, as we're going along, but it's not like the podcast itself is like, okay, and next week we have a goal to lose. It's like, no, next week we're going to have to talk about what we did this whole week.
Yeah, what we did and how we're working out. And again, so before we came on here, there was an article that I'd like to run by you. And it says, physical activity at any intensity will help you live longer. So it says high levels of physical activity of any intensity, whether washing dishes, jogging, can lower your risk of an early death for middle-aged and older people, i.e. me. Conversely, being sedentary, why can't I say that word, for 9.5 hours a day or more, not counting sleep, will increase your risk of dying early. All right.
Oh, no.
Right.
That was the sound effect. Oh, my goodness. That was you. That wasn't even your board. Yeah.
Right. Researchers at the Norwegian School of Sports Science looked at the data from 8 high-quality studies involving 36,383 adults at least 40 years old, the average age of 62. The researchers noted that the deaths fell sharply as activity increased. 300 minutes of light activity or 24 minutes of moderate intensity a day, the lowest activity levels experienced the most deaths.
What were those numbers?
All right, so it was 36,382 adults, at least 40 years old, but the average age was 62.
No. For how much?
300 minutes of light activity, so that's 5 hours of light activity, or 24 minutes of moderate intensity a day, lowers it significantly. The lowest activity levels experience the highest death totals. So I'm like, holy cow, because there's sometimes I'll be down here and I'll be sitting here for like 12 hours. And that's no lie. And that's more the norm than the not normal, whatever that is.
Yeah, when it's funny because we work from home.
At a sedentary job.
And it's funny because it's not like we're going to a building and we're there specifically for 8 hours and we punch a clock or something.
Right.
There are some weeks where it's like, I don't remember when I took a whole day off from our job. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then I'll go upstairs and maybe I'll make something to eat and I'll sit down and eat and I'll watch TV. So the whole time I'm not walking or doing anything. And a lot of times, it's due to my knees and my back. But I got to tell you, since reading that article, which was Tuesday, I have really started to, take time, at least like 5 or 10 minutes, go upstairs, move around, walk around, get something done, do a chore, and then come back down here again, just to make sure that I'm getting more intensity in in my daily routine.
Going back to how they said 24 minutes of moderate activity, did they specify what moderate activity meant? Because
No.
you talked about washing dishes. I'm assuming that's like low.
I would think that's light. But,
Okay.
jogging or, walking at a fast pace or walking, or maybe lifting weights or
Yeah.
yoga, something in which you would increase. Like, I don't think washing dishes really increases your heart rate, but I would think moderate activity would be something that kind of increases your heart rate where you would be out of breath.
Yeah. Okay.
Something that you would have to work up to.
I'm really wondering if how many people I know actually get 24 minutes of moderate activity in that daily. Daily,
Right.
yeah.
Or 300 minutes of light activity, which is 5 hours.
5 hours of light activity. I mean,
There's no way.
well, maybe light activity.
Like what?
I
Doing
don't
the
know.
well, I would say every woman that's a mom gets 5 hours of light
I
activity.
was going to say, I'm like, that's momming for me.
Yeah,
but
momming is like that. That's
Yeah.
because even with your concussion, you still had to mom.
Yeah, that was fun.
Right.
Kids, by the way, not a good cure for a concussion. It's like, hey, loud sounds hurt mommy. What?
Oh, good Lord.
I had to tell my daughter. I feel like I scared her at one point because I was so just.
Nothing wrong with scaring your children.
I know. And she got me to a point. Also, with concussions, one of the symptoms is irritability. So there was
Sure.
that. Yeah. And I turned to her and I said, every time you scream, it's like you're slapping mommy in the face. And she just, oh my gosh, I feel like I scarred her. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
She's fine.
Like, she felt so bad. And then, an hour later, she was screaming again. And I'm like, it's slapping me.
Yes. My parenting advice gets me in trouble all the time.
Well, now it's very different because of the generational thing. Like some of the stuff that my parents used to say to me, the more you read now about how you're supposed to raise and parent kids, it's like, oh gosh, the way like our parents would just be like, you're the reason I'm fat. Oh, you cannot say that to a kid anymore. No, you cannot.
Well, I don't go for that.
No.
But I do. There's sometimes where I think that they get away with a little too much. I think the kids today get away with more than we ever got away with. That's for sure.
Well, I don't know about that because there's a lot more trouble they can also get in because of the internet. That's what.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's true. I never thought about it. I can't even imagine me as a young lad on the internet. Oh.
No, it's like I would rather her go out and have one of those neighborhoods where everyone kind of watched out for their kids and stuff, but the internet isn't like that. So she is on YouTube and I'm watching what she is watching and seeing if she wanted to start playing Roblox, and I'm like staring her down every time somebody walks past. I'm like, who are you? Don't talk to my daughter.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And again, you have to go through that, especially with girls. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to be saying it, but with boys, but especially girls. All right. Well, listen, we're kind of running out of time, and we do have a lot of Winning Wednesdays.
We do, because we have 2 weeks worth, and you guys were awesome. That was one of the things that I was liking when I could get on the internet, was looking in the group and looking at you guys and your Winning Wednesdays.
So here we go.
Winning Wednesday, Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday, Winning Wednesday.
So the first one is from Dave. He says the scale has gone down every day this week. Not a ton, but it's moving in the right direction. Doo-doo.
Where's my to-do?
I know, because we're a week
I lost
off.
where does my lot? Oh, here it is. Marty says, weighed myself for the first day back, and I'm down 3 pounds. While
3 more pounds.
3 more pounds while I was at the fair. 2 weeks of unlimited exercise and weekends and fair food, and I'm still down. So that's a good one.
Julie is jumping on the IF bandwagon for the first time and already down 2 pounds. Woo woo. You're going to love it. I hope you will. I love IF. So, yeah.
I think, yeah, I like it too. Ingrid says, down 5.4 pounds. My weight moves a lot, so I decided not to weigh daily, which is, I agree with that. Move my weigh in to once a week, and it helps me keep myself on track.
Teresa says she's addicted to this podcast and she's slowly catching up and really enjoying it. And she loves that she can hear my smile when I speak. Oh, thank you, Teresa.
Victoria says, I thought I'd reached a plateau, but down 1.5 pounds. I saw a photo of myself today. Not a good one, but I can see how I looked much smaller.
Yay. Deborah says she completed her first 24-hour fast today. Oddly enough, my stomach didn't growl and I didn't feel hungry all day. Hey.
I want to talk about that later.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, there are different kinds of fasts that you can do. We talk about the 18-6 all the time, or the 16-8 all the time, which is 8 hours of eating and 16 hours of not eating. And there's also the one that I'm doing now. It's 6 hours of an eating window and then 18 hours a day of not eating. But then there are other ones where some people go every other day not eating and then eating as much as they want the next day. So many different kinds of intermittent fasting. So, that's one of those things that if somebody reads and they don't know intermittent fasting and they're like, I went 24 hours without eating today. Yay. Many people, many traditional dieters would be like, oh, no, that sounds terrible. That's bad. But,
yeah, exactly.
But different strokes, everyone.
Mm-hmm. Brendan says, don't know if to count this as a win or not. Whole family got the gastro bug. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Net result, I'm down 7 pounds in the last 2 days. Oh, that's a horrible way to lose weight.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it usually comes back. But you know what? We'll give you that a win.
Oh. Daniel says, did my second week of IF. I'm down an additional 5 pounds. I've been on walks every day this week, and I just took my kids for a 6-mile round-trip hike. The end elevation was 9,950 feet, where we took a little swim. Brr. Oh, I love it. That sounds lovely.
And if you're in cold water, your body has to try to keep up the core temperature, so it burns way more calories. That's why they say what's his name? The guy who wrote the 4-Hour Workweek. What's his name?
Tim Ferriss?
Tim Ferriss. He had a thing where if you take cold showers or if you go out in the wintertime, if you're going to go for a run or something and you use the minimal amount of clothing or something like that, you keep your body covered, but you could feel the cold and your body has to burn more calories to keep you warm. So that's a thing, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Although for me, it just puts me in a bad mood if I'm cold. So.
I hear you. I couldn't do a cold shower, not in the morning. Oh, no, that would be very, very bad.
Sometimes I do it now in the summer because it's nice to cool off kind of
right.
at the end of the hot shower that I take, the scalding hot shower. Then I'm like, okay, I'll turn it to cold for a little bit.
Yeah. I'm a scalding hot, as hot as I can stand it.
Yeah.
Like I go until I'm like, and then I back it off just a little bit. Amy says, non-scale victory. I converted a few friends to IF, and now that's all we talk about.
Man.
See?
That's the dream. It's just like finding people, especially people that you see all the time and you eat with maybe. They'll understand. I have to tell my friends at brunch, they want to plan a brunch. And I'm like, can we do 11:30 or 12? And they're like, so lunch? I'm like, no, but yeah. Yeah, so that is from 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're scrolling. Looking at all the memes. Adam's meme of organic is a grocery term meaning twice as expensive. All right.
That's true.
Now we have this week's. We have Anna gone down 2 dress sizes. Yay.
And my favorite Amy, who is filling in for Jessica on the Brilliant Observations podcast, she is now a member of our group. And she says, 4 burn boot camp classes and counting.
Ooh. We have a few Amy's in the group. Mm-hmm. We have another Amy said, OMG, how is it Wednesday already? Last night I got rid of more clothing that's too big, not keeping it because I am going to maintain a healthy weight. I am. Oh, I love it. I love the positivity.
Absolutely. Brenda went to water Zumba last night.
Ooh.
Not Zumba, water Zumba.
You know what? That would be a Zumba that I would want because I keep hearing how fun Zumba is, but I'm so afraid of what it does to people's knees.
Right.
And water Zumba, though, that sounds
I think that would work well. Teresa says, kept experimenting with IF while on vacation. For a few days, I was finding a 14-10 window worked best for me. I haven't seen movement on the scale per se, but I've noticed a big difference in my focus. I have not needed a coffee pick-me-up in about a week. So there you go.
Yeah, I honestly learned about intermittent fasting from a book about ADHD before I did it for weight loss. I did it for ADHD and for the focus. So, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. And that book, oh, by the way, that book is Faster Than Normal by Peter Shankman. And I will throw that into the show notes because every time I mention it, they're like, what was that book? So it's in the show notes whenever I mention it on the podcast. Ingrid says she lost another pound. Yay. Ingrid, our walking friend.
Yeah, she's doing that's almost 7 pounds. So that's great.
Yeah.
And Pete, who's a new member, says, started IF last week after finding your podcast. Down 8 pounds.
Wow. You know, that first week of finding a diet, it really is like a new relationship. And you're like, oh, this is happening. This is
the best. Oh, I can't get enough of this.
I know. And then your body's like, oh, sorry, I was adjusting. Yeah,
right.
Back to 1 or 2 pounds a week. But
then after a while, it's like, this again. Oh, my God. Make it stop. I'm just teasing.
You want to eat? I don't want to eat there.
There was a thing that says this, instead of asking your partner where they want to eat, just say, guess where we're going tonight?
Yes.
And wherever
exactly.
they say, that's where you go.
That's where you go.
All right. So that's our Winning Wednesdays. And you know what that means?
Let's go!
Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for the moment you have all been waiting for. It's time for the weigh-in.
Boy, am I glad I don't have to go first. Not that it makes a difference, putting it off for 5 minutes, if that.
So last week I did weigh myself on Thursday. And not that, we're really going nuts keeping track here, but I had neither gained nor lost any weight last week. And then after the chocolate thing and after the come to Jesus moment, and also a lot of time just sitting, thinking in the dark and feeling, shame and pity for the chocolate and getting back on the bandwagon, I lost 2 pounds. So I'm very happy
lost
about
2
that.
pounds?
Yeah, I lost 2 pounds. That was really more like this week was 2 pounds because this was a salad week and I was eating lighter and I was feeling better. So I was moving a bit more. And I did, even with the concussion, I still did very light yoga every day. And even out on the back porch with my son playing around me. And my husband's the one who's just like, oh my God, are you sure you want to do that? And I'm like, he's only done it once out of the hundreds of times I've done it before. I'm not too worried that he's like, oh,
he's not a serial thrower.
Yeah, I don't think he is. Also, the car wash is not out there anymore.
Anything out there would be Nerf.
I know. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I have a new second number too.
Oh, that's great. That's
excited.
fantastic. All right.
Yeah.
So for me, I did not weigh myself last week. And then when I got on a scale this morning, I was like, all right, let's come on. Big numbers. And then I got on the scale and then I looked and I was like, so I'm up 5 pounds. 5 pounds. I'll take your 2 and see you 3 in poker terms. Yeah. I was like, damn it. That, I'm going back to IF. I'm going back to I missed my therapy appointment because I couldn't get in the truck to drive there.
Yeah.
So I had to call in and cancel that. So I really need to pick it up. And I do believe that I need to start doing more activity than just having things done for me. I got to start building up slowly but surely. And I could do that. So this week, like when I get done here, I go right from here to the Revive podcast. So then when we get done at 2:00, I'm going to make sure I get up, do a couple loads of wash, clean up around here, do some things that, I'm not just sitting here doing anything. And then I have to go take my son to the doctor's. And then when I get back, I record my own podcast. And then I have a couple other jobs to edit. But besides that, I'm going to be moving around more. And I need to be doing that more every day. I think I'm going to try to do more of it in the morning because I think that I think it helps my mood.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I'm going with that.
One of the things that I got into doing with having a concussion was I had to keep working. My clients, I love my clients because they were totally understanding. I think half of them had either had kids with concussions or they had concussions themselves. And they were like, oh, take whatever time you need. I don't want to rush you back. But the stuff that I did work on, a lot of what we do is processing. And that's where you and we've discussed before. That's when we go on our phones and we get caught up on Facebook and on Twitter. And now when things are processing and I'm waiting for files to get done and all that stuff and, all the sound things that we do, I sit there just with my eyes closed and I breathe now. And honestly, I need those breaks with my eyes and my head especially. And doing that, I think that's something I'm going to keep doing is when I'm processing, just sitting there and just breathing and listening to my breathing and being present and being mindful. That kind of kept me the most out of falling into too deep of a
depression.
Yeah, because when I would hear those thoughts in my head of, oh God, I'm here and I can't do anything and this is coming in the worst, I was like, wait, I have a wonderful husband who is taking off work and I have great in-laws who are taking the kids when I need to, and just thinking about all the things that I'm grateful for in my life. And so I'm thinking with you, maybe using your processing time for maybe getting up, doing some stretches, maybe even doing stretches at your desk,
That's a great idea. Just trying to find, because there's definitely videos on YouTube that shows you, chair stretches and stuff like that. The chat has exploded about water Zumba. Stephanie says that I love Zumba, but it hurt my back. I was doing a low impact version, most classes, but went crazy one day because the music moved me and I miss it, but I'm going to do more weights and yoga now. And then Brenda says, so glad they can't see all of the shaking going on under the water. So
that's true. Water is also like, I don't know, for me, even though water's clear, whenever I get into the water, I'm like, okay, good. No one can see me now.
No one can see you.
It's like such a weird security blanket effect, even though it's clear. But
yes. Well, there we go.
That's
all right.
Wonderful.
Yep. So I got to get back on the bandwagon. My biggest problem is that I have no system set up or no, what we would call it in podcasting, we call it a workflow. I really don't have a workflow. I was just letting the inmates run the asylum, and I got to get back into something like that. And even when I was planning, I would just run amok every once in a while. I'm a big muck runner. I found that out. So see what happens.
A muck runner.
Running amok. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to join us, we would love that. Go to hate2wait.com/Facebook. And if you want the show notes for this, because Emily does a great job with that, on the app that you're using to listen to this, there's an information button there. Tap that information button. The show notes will be there. And if you want to, you can go to hate2wait.com and check out the show notes there. Did I miss anything?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. All right, everyone.
We would love you to join the Facebook group. Absolutely. Come join us.
Yeah, it is. I got to tell you, it is a great, when I'm feeling down or I need something, I go in and I read people's posts, and it really does energize me and, get me back into the swing of things. And I really do appreciate everybody in this group, and I thank them so much for being here. And 234 members in the group right now. So I know, amazing, right? And not everybody posts. A lot of people are in there just kind of, in the background, and that's fine too. That's great.
We welcome lurkers, because I'm a lurker in some groups where I don't really want to. No, not dirty lurkers, just lurkers who I want to read posts. I don't want to respond. I get it. I understand.
Yeah, I never said dirty lurker. I'm the same way. I go into some places and I know, because as soon as I open my mouth, everybody jumps in. Next thing I know, I'm in a Facebook fight. So I don't want to do that. I just keep my mouth shut.
Not in our group, though. John doesn't start fighting.
No, not in our group.
It's all about
Podcasting
weight.
groups.
No.
Podcasting groups drive me insane. Absolutely insane. But that's a story for another day. All right, everyone. We'll see you back here next week.